Hi, my name is Kath Lewis. I'm a neuroendocrine cancer patient and I'm an ambassador for NC UK. I was diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer of the small bowel with liver metastases in June 2015 at the age of 53. As you can imagine, it was a bit of a shock. Nobody wants to hear the C word, and it takes a bit of getting used to, turning your world upside down. I was diagnosed following a biopsy of my liver after they'd tried to remove a growth within my small intestine, which was causing me a great deal of discomfort. Due to the siting of the tumour, it was decided that it was not safe to remove as it sits within the mesentery layer of my small intestine. They also found that as well as spread to my liver, it was in some of my lymph nodes, one of which is by my main artery, and a tumour on my peritoneal wall. I was told that I'd probably been living with this disease for at least 7 to 10 years, and that the spread to my liver would have been when it started to make its presence known in a physical way, which, believe you me, was not at all pleasant. So one of the first things I did to help me come to terms with it was rename my tumours as illegal aliens, because I had not given them permission to board, settle and populate my body. Also, I am not a candidate for surgery unless they have no choice due to the siting of my tumour. So I am classed as a watch and wait. I've had to come to terms with this, which wasn't easy, but the fact of the matter is surgery will not cure me. There are no guarantees that I will feel any better, and it could even make matters worse. So even though leaving things as they are is not the best option, it was hard to accept, as your first reaction is to get it out. My diagnosis also made me realise what a powerful force willpower is. As not realising how ill I actually was, I'd kept going at times when maybe I should not have, especially in a work capacity. Diagnosis, though, did confirm that I wasn't a hypochondriac or going mad. I'd been suffering with various symptoms for years, including severe bloating and cramp, night sweats and diarrhoea, and really bad fatigue for which I could identify no reason. And I thought that if I heard the word IBS again, I would scream. My GP practice was as fed up of seeing me as I was of seeing them, but they never looked at the whole picture, even when I would go in with a list of symptoms, which I did on a regular basis, a list that always resulted in a barrage of blood tests, all of which always came back as normal. After my initial diagnosis, the oncology nurse pointed me in the direction of NC UK, formerly the Net Patient Foundation, which supports patients, their families and friends. They were and continue to be a godsend for me. We should never underestimate the comfort derived from speaking to people who know about and, more importantly, understand the disease we live with and how it makes you feel. I believe that I've been very lucky as well when it comes to this cancer and my treatment. I've always been treated well by my specialist team. I'm always included in any discussions with regard to treatment changes and encouraged to be open and truthful about all symptoms and feelings, which at times isn't easy. My nurse also told me that nobody knows my body better than I do, and that is a great comfort to know that that is part of their approach to my care, as I know so many who are not listened to in this way. I also have a strong support network within my family and from my friends. Cancer can take you to some very dark places where you can feel very isolated and alone, especially when it goes on for years and you know you cannot be cured, which in turn also comes with a lot of guilt, as cancer does not just affect you, it affects everybody around you. I didn't ask for this, and neither did my family and friends, but I have unwittingly brought it into others' lives, not just my own. Therefore, it is very important to have emotional and physical support as well as medical. Treatment should be about the whole person and not just the disease we carry around with us. To help me cope with this, I joined various forums, one of which I now help to administer. I regularly attend the NC UK Natters to talk to patients and their families, and I write a blog which charts my journey through this. Following my initial diagnosis, I was put onto the lanreotide autogel injection, the lowest dose of 60 milligrams every 28 days, and underwent scans every 3 months. But 6 months after diagnosis, I was transferred from my local hospital in Stoke-on-Trent to a Neuroendocrine Cancer of Excellence due to progression. And for me, this is the Christie Cancer Hospital in Manchester. And the first thing the Christie did was to put me on the highest dose, which is 120 milligrams, recheck my Ki-67 and rescan me. They confirmed that I have a Ki-67 of 7.8%, which makes me grade 2, stage 4. Before my monthly injections, I was started on 3 daily shots for a month to ensure that I could tolerate the medication. The monthly injection, though, was a bit of a shock to the system, and it took me about 4 months to get used to it and its side effects. The worst of which seems to be pretty standard for most patients. I would be completely washed out for 2 to 3 days after my injection, with a really bad headache, stomach cramps, diarrhoea and stiffness, and a pain across my shoulders and down my right side. I still occasionally get headaches, diarrhoea and joint pain, but thankfully they're few and far between, and it is responsive to painkillers and heat packs, and a hot bath I find always works wonders. More importantly though, the treatment was helping to keep things stable and was also helping greatly with symptom control. As part of my treatment, I also take a pancreatic enzyme with all food, which has helped to reduce cramps and bloating, as well as a daily prescription for vitamin D, along with some additional supplements as agreed with my consultant. Unfortunately though, due to problems with daily abdominal pain, I now have to take 20 milligrams twice a day of slow-release morphine with paracetamol and liquid morphine backup if needed, which thankfully isn't too often. And for the first 3 years of treatment, everything remained pretty stable. But in April 2018, I was feeling very unwell, a feeling which had started at the beginning of 2018. But as it turns out, my tumours had started to rebel and show progression. A G68 scan was done, following my normal scans, in April of 2018. Having had one done the previous October, they were able to compare and properly confirm progression. So I was offered the option of PRRT, which I readily agreed to, as my overall health and therefore my quality of life was deteriorating quite quickly. Being told you have progression is not an easy thing to hear, even when you expect it. The time bomb I was sitting on had started ticking again, and without the surgery option, PRRT was the best way forward for me. My family was fully behind me, which is just as well, as it was a bit of a roller coaster ride, and I reacted to each one of my treatments differently. For each treatment, I was given the highest dose they could for my height and weight. A couple of weeks before the initial session, the team walked me through what to expect with regard to treatment, the timetable and why, including the reasons I would be in isolation for so long. I fully understood that this is not a normal form of radiation therapy generally used in the treatment of cancers, as they would be using gamma radiation. My husband, who loves his science, got quite excited about this, as he now had a reason to buy a Geiger counter, as he was going to have a radioactive wife, and during treatment and isolation measured me twice a day. It also helped to add a bit of humour, especially when he measured me in the car park when he collected me the day after my first treatment. The noise was horrendous, made quite a few people jump and caused quite a few funny looks. As I said previously, I reacted differently to each treatment, and it truly was a roller coaster ride. After my first one, the next morning, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I was tired, I was sore, I had a horrible taste in my mouth, and I didn't have much of an appetite either, which was just adding insult to injury for me. For the first week or so, I slept a lot. As for the metallic taste, that happened after each treatment and lasted about 2 weeks each time. I went through a lot of mint sweets, drank a lot of mint tea, and drank a lot of ginger drinks, as that helped with the taste. After the second treatment, I didn't feel as bad as the next day, but I did suffer a lot with nausea and stomach cramps. But I would say my third one was the worst, as I experienced a lot of pain and extreme tiredness, which I put down to the fact that my cancer was trying to fight the radiation off. My recovery from this one was also over the Christmas holidays, which put a damper on things. So I wasn't looking forward to my fourth one at the beginning of the new year, but I needn't have worried, as the last one was a complete breeze compared to the rest of them, and I recovered quite quickly. During treatment, my hair, eyebrows and nails thinned, but after about 3 months the hair on my head and my nails started to return to normal. I made friends with the eyebrow pencil, a small price I thought, and I no longer need to shave under my arms, which I think personally is a win. And I don't know if that happens for everybody, but that's what happened for me. Even though the journey for me wasn't pleasant, I do feel it was worth it. It was a means to an end, so to speak. I think the most unnerving part, though, was when I used to have energy drops. It would just run out. It was a bit like a light switch being flicked. There would be no warning. I would just go down, which if you were out could be very unnerving. It still happens now, but it's less often and is becoming more predictable. My body is learning the signals. Speaking to other PRRT patients, this is not unusual, and I do actually feel a lot better in myself. It's hard to explain how, but I do feel better. And even though I continue to experience a lot of pain, that remains manageable. And the treatment wasn't about the pain, it was about stability. More importantly, my enthusiasm for life has returned. Going forward, my scans show that after completion of my treatment in January 2019, PRRT is still doing its job 2.5 years later, which I'm over the moon about, especially as the tumours in my liver and on my peritoneal wall have showed a slight reduction in size. I've had to make a lot of adjustments in the last 6 years, and when my disease started to progress again, it was limiting my ability to participate in social and family activities and generally enjoy life. I'm a very social person and I like to try new things, and I'd also started to do some volunteer work, but it was getting very hard to commit to things and lots of arrangements were getting cancelled at short notice. Nothing was agreed to without a cancellation caveat. But thanks to PRRT, I feel that I am now back on track and in a place where I can get on with my life again. I've achieved a level of acceptance that helps to lighten the load that I carry around with me, both physically and mentally. And for now, the ticking has stopped. I continue to try and keep busy and learn new skills. I'm still learning to quilt. I've made quite a few face masks for friends and family over the last 18 months, and I may even try my hand again at dressmaking. Also, as a result of this disease, I am now allergic to wheat, so I perfected a gluten-free sourdough while I was confined to barracks due to COVID, and got my husband baking his own, as he says, proper version as well. I can't deny anxiety still creeps up on me every now and again, especially in the current climate, which has gone on for a lot longer than most of us thought it would. But overall, I feel that PRRT has been a life changer for me. My quality of life has improved from before I started it in July 2018. I feel like I am me again. Yes, I still have pain most days and the fatigue is a real pain in the butt, but it continues to be manageable, and best of all, I'm still here. Thank you for listening.